This is the Kohlman Evaluation of Living Skills. Good afternoon. I will be giving you an evaluation of living skills. The reason I am giving you this evaluation is to help determine your specific skills and to assist in intervention and discharge planning. It will take approximately 20 to 30 minutes to administer. I may be writing down notes as the evaluation progresses. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time. At the end of the evaluation, I will go over the results with you. Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
All right. First, do this. While she is completing this portion of the assessment, I will also be observing her appearance. We will be looking for dirty hair, uncombed hair, ragged or torn clothing, clothing not fastened properly, unpleasant body odor, dirty fingernails or ungroomed hands, visible dirt on body, dirty clothing, obvious dental decay, or open untreated sores. Since the client has provided an answer for every section, we are complete. If she had not filled out the bottom portion, we would then ask these questions verbally. When scoring the appearance section of self-care, none of the listed items were present, so this client would be scored as independent for the appearance section. When scoring the frequency of self-care activities of the self-care section, this client was also independent since she showers or bathes more than once a week, washes her face more than once a day, washes her hair more than once a week, combs her hair more than once a day, brushes her teeth more than once a day, and eats more than twice a day. If she did not meet more than one of these items, she would be scored as needs assistance. I am going to show you 4 pictures. There may be a dangerous situation in them, or there may not be anything dangerous at all. Look carefully at each of them. You must decide if there is anything dangerous in the pictures. Do you see anything dangerous in this picture?
The cord is across the walkway.
And what is dangerous about the cord?
It could trip somebody.
Do you see anything dangerous in this picture?
Yes, he is standing on a book on a chair trying to reach something.
And what is dangerous about that?
He could fall.
Do you see anything dangerous in this picture?
No.
Do you see anything dangerous in this picture?
Yes, the hair dryer is plugged in with this sink running full of water.
And what would be dangerous about that?
Could get electrocuted if the hair dryer got wet.
When scoring the Awareness of Dangerous Household Situations section of Safety and Health, the client must identify all of the dangerous elements of the photos and why they are dangerous. Both components must be present in the client's response. If a client gives one or more incorrect answers, they would be scored as needs assistance. What would you do for yourself if you got sick with a cold?
I would go to the doctor.
What else would you do?
Take medicine.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. What would you do if you burned yourself and the wound became infected?
I would go to my doctor.
What would you do if you suddenly started having severe chest pains and shortness of breath?
I would probably call 911.
Okay, great. In an emergency, what telephone number would you call?
911.
If you needed to see a doctor, where would you go?
I would go to my doctor,
And who is your doctor?
Dr. Smith,
And where is his office located?
on American Pacific in Gibson.
And if you needed to see a dentist, where would you go?
I would go to my dentist.
And what is his name?
It is Dr. Jones.
Okay, and where is Dr. Jones located?
He's located on South H Street.
Okay. When scoring the identification of appropriate action for sickness and accident section of safety and health, the client must answer all 3 questions correctly. If one or more questions are not answered as provided, the client would be scored as needs assistance. When scoring the knowledge of emergency numbers of the safety and health section, the client must provide the correct local emergency number or locate it within a phone book. If the client is not able to do so, they would be scored as needs assistance. When scoring the knowledge of location of medical and dental facilities in the safety and health section, the client must be able to correctly provide the name of the doctor and dentist and where the offices are located, or find them within the phone book. If the client is unable to do so, they would be scored as needs assistance. I'm going to give you $2, and you're going to buy this deck of cards for me. The deck of cards costs $1.58, including tax. You give me the $2, and I give you the deck of cards and this amount of change. Is that the right amount of change?
No,
What would be the correct amount?
42 cents.
Now I'm going to give you $1, and you're going to buy this bar of soap from me. The bar of soap costs 23 cents, including tax. You give me the $1, I give you the bar of soap, and this amount of change. Is that the right amount of change?
Yes.
When scoring the use of money in purchasing items section of money management, the client must complete both tasks correctly without using paper to figure out the answers. If the client completes one or both tasks incorrectly, the client would be scored as needs assistance. What is your source of income?
Student loans.
Okay. If your student loan check didn't come one month, what would you do to find out what happened to it?
I would go to the financial aid office.
What financial aid office do you use?
The one at my school.
Okay. Perfect. Now, how much money do you spend a month for food for yourself?
Probably about $200.
For the obtain and maintain source of income section of money management, to score as independent, the client must answer all questions correctly. If the client does not know what to do or does not know the location of an office, they would be scored as needs assistance. When scoring the budgeting of money for food section of money management, the client must state that they spend either cash or food stamps at least the amount allotted per month by the United States government food stamp program for one person with no income. If they do not spend that amount, they would be marked as needs assistance. What is your monthly income?
I have $1,200.
Okay. Fill in this form by listing how much money you spend for the following categories each month. Do you have a checking account now?
Yes.
Okay, make this check out to Safeway for $17.88 and then record it in the proper place. savings account now?
Yes.
Okay. Using this form, withdraw $20 from your savings account. For the budgeting of monthly income section of money management, the client must give figures for at least 3 categories. The total of the figures must be no greater than the client's monthly income and no less than 90% of the client's monthly income to be scored as independent. If the client gives less than 3 figures or the total of the figures is greater than the client's monthly income, they would be scored as needs assistance. For the use of banking forms section of the money management section, the client must fill out the check, record it, subtract the amount from the register total, and complete all sections completely. If they are unable to complete all steps or make any errors, they would be marked as needs assistance. What is the amount due on this bill?
$43.11.
When is this bill due?
August 4th, 1995.
How would you pay this bill?
With a check.
Where would you send the check?
City Electric Company.
For the payment of bills section of money management, all 3 answers must be correct in order for the client to score independent. If any of the questions are answered incorrectly, the client would be scored as needs assistance.
How do you get from one place to another in Las Vegas?
I drive in my car.
When was the last time you drove your car?
This morning.
Okay. If you needed to take a bus to a place that you had never been before, how would you know what bus to ride?
I would check a bus schedule.
Okay. What is the telephone number for the directory assistance or information? You may use the phone book if you wish.
The phone number is 978-750-8400.
Okay. Find the telephone number for Lucky Cab Taxi Company.
The phone number for Lucky Cab is 702-298-2299.
Here's the telephone number for the Regal Stadium Sunset Station IMAX Theater. Call the number and tell me what time the first movie will be shown.
The first movie shown will be A Dog's Journey at 12 p.m.
Very good.
For scoring the transportation and telephone section about mobility within the community, the client is considered independent if both of the following conditions are present. 1. The client gives at least one method of transportation that can be done without any participation by another individual and does not require another person's property. 2. At least one method of transportation, besides walking, has been used within the past month. The client needs assistance if they only use walking for transportation, they do not leave the house, or all other methods require participation of another individual or another person's property. For scoring the basic knowledge of transit system, the client is considered individual if they can give at least one of the answers listed below. 1. Gives the number of the bus route closest to where the client lives. 2. Asks the bus driver. 3. Reads bus stop signs. 4. Calls transit information number. 5. Reads bus schedule. The client needs assistance if they do not know how to find out what bus to ride or gives an answer that would not enable the client to take the correct bus. For scoring the transportation and telephone section of use of a phone, book, and telephone, the client is considered independent if all of the conditions listed below are present. 1. The client gives or is able to locate the number for directory assistance or information independently. It is also acceptable if the client would call the operator or dial 0. 2. The client independently locates the number for the taxi company in either the white or yellow pages. 3. The client dials the telephone number for the recorded message accurately without assistance and reports the correct information from the message. If the client is unable to or needs assistance in any of these categories, they would be considered needs assistance.
Have you worked in the past?
Yes.
Do you plan on working in the future?
Yeah.
When was your last job?
About a year ago.
What kind of job was it?
I worked at the front desk.
What kind of job will you look for in the future?
Probably front desk again.
How will you find a job?
I'll look in the newspaper.
Okay. What do you do in your leisure or free time?
I like to play with my dog.
Do you do anything else?
I like to go for walks and ride horses.
Do you do any activities with other people?
Sometimes walking.
When was the last time you went on a walk?
About a week ago.
When was the last time you played with your dog?
Today.
And when was the last time you rode horses?
About a week ago.
For scoring the work and leisure section for plans for future employment, the client is considered independent if both of the following conditions are met below. 1. The client plans to find a job by one of the methods below: newspaper, signs in the windows, relatives or friends who have jobs to offer, employment office. And 2. The kind of job given by the client matches the education, skills, and past history of the client. This is determined by observations and information gained from the client, the charts, or others. It must be reasonable for the client to pursue the kind of job given. If it is not realistic or the client does not know how to find a job, they would be considered needs assistance. For scoring the work and leisure section, leisure activity involvement, a client is considered independent when both of the conditions listed below are present. 1. The client must give a minimum of 3 leisure activities, one of which is done with other people. 2. A minimum of 3 leisure activities must have been done within the previous month. One of these 3 must have been done with other people. If any of the conditions listed below are present, the client needs assistance. If the client gives less than 3 leisure activities, no leisure activities are done with other people, less than 3 leisure activities are done within the previous month, or 4 leisure activity was done with other people within the previous month. To summarize the results of the evaluation, a final score is computed. Each item marked as needs assistance is scored as 1 point, excluding the 2 items under work and leisure. Needs assistance scores under work and leisure are counted as only half a point. Independent, C note, and not applicable are counted as 0. A score of 5.5 or less indicates that the client is capable of living independently. A total score of 6 or more indicates the client needs assistance to live in the community. When a client has a score in the range of 5 to 5.5, the client has borderline skills for living independently in the community. Further information and evaluations by the occupational therapist and other team members may be needed to make recommendations about living skills and the ability to live in the community. The total score is used by the evaluator to make recommendations, but the total score is not actually recorded on the score sheet. The score, however, can be mentioned in the summary note if it helps to clarify the recommendations. After the final score is computed, a short summary note is written at the bottom of the score sheet.